Tuned right here to the Powerhouse Radio, linking the world to the Caribbean. As we kick it off on another night, tonight, the 22nd of June, and we're bringing you Reasoning Thursdays each and every Thursdays. And we want to say big shouts to the Victorious 89.1 family and to each and every one that listening to us via the powerhouseradio.com, via our telephone listening lines at 667-930-9036, and also via our www.dapowerhouseradio.com, our TuneIn app as well. So we want to welcome each and every one. I'm hoping that you all most definitely had enjoyed the little snippet ad that Mama Acid sent out. Yes, yes, yes. We're going to be talking about them things as well. Yes, we are, man. So it is a fantabulous Thursday right here in the A. I'm not sure how it's going over Mama Acid side, but Mama Acid would definitely be kicking us and informing us on what's going on, kicking us in on what's going on up there in the MI area. But we just want to welcome you. Yeah, we have hot topics that's going to be that we're going to be reasoning on right here on the Powerhouse Radio. We most definitely have dancehall artists and badness. We're going to know what's your thought on it at the end of the show, the last 10-15 minutes of the program. We're going to open up the lines for you all to call in. Yes, and we definitely got the phone situated and cleared up because we're going to be talking about dancehall artists and badness. Dr. Umar and what he has to say about Jamaica with the Chinese and the politics and that is going on. We're going to be talking, we're going to be reasoning about Adam Schiff, Lorraine. Yeah, Mama Ask got something to tell us about that. Yeah, and we definitely going to just touch a little snippet about the Titanic, the sub that tragically did not work out right. And yes, we're definitely going to be touching aliens. Did you hear Mama? Did you hear that ad? It says yes, we're going there. And we're hoping that you are going to be going there with us as well. Yeah, it's things that makes you go, what about those criminal escaping? We're just going to take a snippet on that as well. So what we're jiving on is Jamaican politics and crime and all these things, and with a sweet touch of American politics. Isn't that something? Yeah, we are well diverse right here on the Powerhouse Radio on Reasoning Thursdays, each and every Thursdays from 8 p.m. until the 10 o'clock hour. So I have my host, the other hosts that are right here on Reasoning Thursday with myself. You have Queen, you have Mama Acid, you have the Respecta. Yes, all right here. So let me give them an opportunity to welcome you all to Reasoning Thursdays. So, big ups, Queen. You want to say hello to the listening audience?
Hey, you folks. I missed y'all last week, but I'm back here and we do have some juicy things. Let me tell you something. God is so awesome. He's an awesome God. And look, you just have to believe and trust in Him. He have a way of working things out for you. So just keep that in mind.
All
Have a wonderful evening and enjoy the show.
All right. And once again, we also ask you all to share, 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 share. The Respecta. Respecta is on the line as well. Another one of your hosts. How you doing, Respecta? And you want to say hello to your listening audience?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing good. But I want to piggyback on Queen, what Queen said about God. I think
Mhm.
the world will greet me by saying, God, it's time. You remove the bad apples and let the good apple take over. Because this
Amen.
mess we're going through in this world, the islands, the continents, North and South America, Europe, is corruption. And God, people are going through too much. So I want God to show up and show out remove those bad apples.
All right, all right.
Mhm.
And Mama Acid had a drop right here, so we're gonna wait for her to go on and to reconnect with us right here on Reasoning Thursdays. I'm hoping that you all have had a fantabulously fabuloso day wherever you all are. I hope that the weather is all that you hope that it is. It's a rainy day right here in Georgia. We have been receiving a lot of rain, and I don't even mind receiving the rain because, that saves my water bill. That's my regular lingua. When it rains, I still love it because you know what? God is watering and nourishing His earth, and I'm benefiting because I don't have to use my water to water my grass and to water my fantabulously fabuloso farm that is out there. Man, I'm telling you, I have this. I'm just throwing this in, folks. I'm just throwing this in because I'm buying a little time for Acid to connect. Um, but let me tell you all something. I have. The most fantabulous garden this year. My tomatoes are so huge and beautiful. Yes. And my peppers, I have already had a little small crop of my um, cayenne peppers. Yes, so I got some of that already. And I'm going to blend it because, I'm going to use it through my drinks and stuff like that, trying to lose 1 or 2 pounds and things. So I'm going to use my harvesting, what I harvest to accomplish that. And let me tell you, my lettuce, I taste one of my lettuce. It is scrumptious. Let me tell you, I have cauliflower, broccoli, I have thyme, all these things I have in my garden. Potato, I need to go dig up 1 or 2 of them. Yeah, and I'll tell you when I cook it what it if it's sweet and nice and all of those things. Well, we're waiting for Mama Acid to connect. Make sure that you share. Share the links and invite a friend and a friend and a family member. Because, yeah, we're going to be talking about once again dance hall artist badness. And we're going to be talking about Dr. Umar and his perspectives on Chinese and the politics of it. And we're going to play a little snippet from we're going to play a little snippet from one of his interviews. Yeah, and you let me know what you think. At the end of the program, we're going to have the telephone lines are going to be up, and I made sure that the telephone lines are good, so everyone should be able to call in. Bless up to you, Donna. Donna says hello, everyone.
Donna.
Hey, Donna.
And Mama Acid is back. So, Mama Acid, you want to say hello to your listening audience?
Well, all I can say is I guess I've been extra wicked to my phone because it just doesn't want to work now.
Well, at least it's teaching you a lesson. You will start to be kind.
I would think keeping it in my pocket, don't drop it, keep it away from water, treat it, gently when you put it down. All of that. I do all of that, but it doesn't matter. So I'm wondering if maybe I should brutalize it to make it work.
I thought you just said so you're not doing enough brutalization to it.
No, I'm not. I think I really need to like throw it on the floor once or twice.
you, you know, say
Good luck. Good luck.
really not going to be working then. Then it's really not going to be working. Big up to each and everyone that's joining. Definitely share the link. Share the link, please. Most definitely share the link and tell a friend and a friend. They could also listen to us via our telephone lines at 667-930-9036 and also through the TuneIn app. You can also listen to us via that way as well. So please share the link, share the links because we have a lot of topics that we're going to be discussing. As I said, dancehall artists and badness is on the list. And we're going to be reasoning on um, uh, Dr. Umar, and we're going to play a clip from him in regards to Chinese and the politics in Jamaica. We're going to be speaking on Adam Schiff Lorraine, and we're going to be talking about the criminals escaping. We're going to just touch a little bit on him. But yeah, we're going to be speaking of aliens tonight. Yeah, we're touching that alien topic tonight. And submarine. We just want to definitely send our condolences out to each and everyone. Miriam, all of my UK massive want to say big ups and thanks for the likes. Could you all just go on and touch that like button for us and like the program? It's very important. So just like the program for us. So we want to big you all up, each and every one. Man, I'm telling you. So we're gonna start getting down into the reasoning, and yeah, we want to definitely send our condolences to the individuals that was lost on the Titanic. I think is what they call it, and it's a sad thing. Mama Acid had a different perspective on it. I told her, I said, Mama Acid, Lord have mercy. But anyway, um, so do
We're gonna talk about it at the end, right? Because I'm gonna reserve my feelings until then.
yeah, reserve your feelings until then. Reserve. So let's kick it off with dancehall art. Do we want to? Let's knock out Dr. Umar with the Chinese.
No, let's do the dancehall artist first.
Okay, so we're gonna go into the dance all artists. Um, big up yourself. Miriam says greetings. Why I can't see no faces? Because Mama Acid don't want us to show our face. I'm just putting it on Mama Acid. No, next week
Well, we said next
gonna
week.
come
Yeah.
next week we're gonna
Mhm.
come live so you all can see our faces. We're not made up, dolled up, and all of these things. I guess we need to come natural. Well, you say the respecter is having a little technical difficulty, so we definitely have to make sure that the respecter is live with us as well, right? The respecter.
You ladies are all beautiful.
Yeah. You're so beautiful and thoughtful. You're
He
so thoughtful.
is. Yeah.
All right. Well, dancehall artists and badness. Well, we know that dancehall has always had the badness side of it, along with just the artistry side of it. And it's replicated in their music, um, with the badness and everything. So I don't know more of what we can really say about the dancehall artists and badness. What do you think? The respecter brought it up, and I was thinking about it when I was watching a small snippet of the situation that one of the artists, Joshi, got himself into with okay, where Joshi got himself into a little snippet of a issue with their saying now that he was the one who it's alleged that he was the one whom um sent did a retaliation on a don in the area, and due to, I guess it's alleged that the don must have thrown some water into the mom's face, and that was the outcome of it, where the don was supposed to be murdered. So yeah, we dance hall and badness. So what's your thought on it, the respecter?
One, just too much free time that these artists have on their hands. And for one, I don't believe in the separation. I never did. Dancehall and reggae. Music is still reggae. And one thing with Jamaica allowed too many outsiders to come in and change things up. Dancehall represents badness and slutful behaviors, ignorance. And I'm surprised that the Marley's family, the Morgan Heritage, Morgan Heritage, and all of the big names, they haven't put their feet down yet and said, no, let's do this for the youngsters. Because we all say the youngsters are the future. And too many youngsters are going the wrong direction because they don't have the right and proper leadership. Government ain't helping. They can't rely on government. Entertainers, the producers, the promoters, they got to step up and set the thing straight. Because a young man like that shouldn't be in that position. Any man who hear or see anything bad happening to his mother, God, he's gonna react. She's gonna react. So all the alleged, we just hope that it's not so. That he's innocent and free to better his life. But there's a lot going on with the young entertainers because the older entertainers refuse to step in and try and coach and teach and mentor these youngsters. The young girls going into the wrong direction, young boys going in the wrong direction. And who's profiting? Producers and promoters.
I kind of
Well,
disagree.
I,
Kind of
okay.
disagree with that as to saying that the artists are not okay. Queen, what's going on with your phone? I kind of disagree with the artist with saying that the artists, the older artists, the veteran artists are not um trying to direct the younger artists in the right way to go, and to be crime free. I don't think that all of yeah, it's not all of them that is saying it, but a lot is because I see that all the time on social media where why Queen keep unmuting herself.
Honey was calling. Tell her mama.
Um yeah, I see a lot
What the
of
hell is going on with
artists. That's Queen. I see a lot of artists that go on the air and you know try to encourage the younger youth them to do positive things and cut out the gun and cut out all of these things. So to even say, but also my rebuttal is how would how do you think that when you say allow such that's a heavy word to point to Morgan Heritage or even to the Marleys that they allow. They are not governing. They are not governing. I mean, dancehall. Dancehall is not governed. Is not under uh, a board that anyone has to face.
Lady D,
Yeah, go ahead,
not
Acid.
to cut you. This is a question that we keep kicking around on the ground over and over every year. We started talking about this last year with different producers and artists. And one of the things that I can remember that really kind of touched me was Mackie Conscious said, until the youth want the same thing that history has given them, they are still going to continue to reject the mantle of foundational reggae.
Mm.
That really moved me. And I wrote him after the show and asked him if he thought that foundational reggae was a relic. And he said dance hall is the only thing that gets any money promotion because foundational reggae artists don't get invited on tours. Their music doesn't get promoted, and you very rarely see them getting any type of support in the community. And I have to admit, I think he's got a point.
But
Sad.
is that necessarily the responsibilities of Morgan Heritage or the Marleys?
No,
Is
he pointed. He
maybe that can be.
he pointed directly to people like Babsy, who has this mantle and a job where they're being paid to supposedly guide and direct one of Jamaica's prime jewels and actual pieces of tourism, because people come to Jamaica for music. People come to Jamaica for reggae, and if they're not able to utilize reggae as a way to make money just by people coming in, at this point it's almost moot, because the majority of people that came to Jamaica the first time came because of reggae or Bob Marley. Maybe the second time they came because they wanted to smoke weed. We know that those are the primary draws from across America and Europe to Jamaica as well as Asia. So when asking why did the Japanese girls become dance hall queens, which was another story that we did a couple years ago when we started doing this story about why are these women getting killed. You remember the Tony Matterhorn
Yes, yes.
issue where the women were going to Mars and they were spinning on their head top up in the dance hall and breaking the backs and I mean, it was like dangerous. And we're still seeing danger as an element with dance hall. So do we think it's really about the music, or do we think it's about the energy of dance hall itself? Because it all spreads the same message, and the message is the same as a lot of gangster rap in America. That's bad, but it makes the
Yes,
money.
absolutely. It is.
Yeah, it's real bad. Queen, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, well, I heard a new song that Ziggy Marley did, and I think some of them are trying to bring out that positive music. And part of it was where he was talking about his father, Peter Tosh, and several other artists, and the contribution that they gave to reggae music and Jamaica as a whole. So it's not. I think really and truly why that dancehall is like that, music is like that now, and exhibiting badness so prevalent is because it's embraced by the public. It's when you bring out positive music, as much people don't gravitate towards it as you would with the dancehall rugged music, shut up man and what have you. So we have a long way to go in that, and I do believe that, like Factor said, the positive artists, they need to start coming out more stronger and bolder. Even that lady, your guy there, that's always, you always post his music on the on your station. And I think we just need more positive artists to come out and start even speaking on it. They had a demonstration a little while back for that 8-year-old little girl, and I saw a couple of artists came out and they really spoke against violence, in the music, and bringing Jamaica back to how it was before. So some of them are trying.
Okay, comments. Donna Moody said the badness message is the same all around the world. And Miriam says dance hall does not represent slutty or bad behavior. Totally disagree with that comment. Dance hall was always decent. These new generation took it to a different level and gave it a bad reputation. It was nothing like that back in the 80s and 90s. The bad behavior
But dance,
starts, wait a minute, the bad behavior starts from in the home or with those who want to have their own way. They have been imitating the gangster rap, etc., from the USA. We have the same thing in the UK.
remind her,
Go ahead, Respecta.
remind her that dancehall actually started with Ninja Man and Super Cat and the Badman Police them who started promoting shows when Sting came about. Those eras, the 80s, have nothing to do with dancehall. Dancehall is from the 90s up, and it's because they wanted to destroy reggae music. They thought that dancehall would erase reggae, but it's impossible to do that. It is about ignorance. If you listen to it, kill this and kill that, even telling grown man what to do to his mother.
The respecter.
His woman,
Wait, let him finish his thought and then you come in, Mama Acid. Go ahead,
Okay.
Respecta.
disrespecting woman most of all. And I said it over and over. When you listen to music, a community listen to music, the churches should take a part in it because if it's degrading young boys and girls, putting people's lives in danger, they should step up and go to government and say, government, business owners, everybody should be teaming up and saying no to the producers who's allowing these lyrics to be recorded. These young men and women only looking a chance to make money and live their life. But so if the promoter says, producer said, no, this lyrics is not good, make it more positive, conscious, they would have to do that. They don't. They have gone to a big grown man like King Jammys and talking dirty, and Jammy say okay and go along with it. No, the kids gotta go with what the producers and promoters say. So it can be changed.
Okay, go ahead, Mama Acid.
The Respecter. Now, I know you might be younger than me, but I want to remind you that when I was a little kid, it was uptown dances, and then it was the Rude Boys in the 1960s and the 70s. Okay, um, in the 80s it was Rude Boys, because I can tell you for sure that I, for one, was there the night that this incident jumped off with Supercat in Brooklyn, and I was in this bar called Johnny's, and they were very rude. That was 1984, okay? And that was not the first time I had witnessed that, because I was in Tampa at a Tristan Palmer show, which blew my mind even more. And if you remember the tune Murderer, Murderer, it cleared out the dance hall, because outside two men got to shooting. That was in 1981. So it was around in 1980. It was around in the 1970s, because in the 1970s, we saw Bob Marley break away from Jamaica because it was too dangerous, because he was hunted by gunmen, and he left, and he said that things in Jamaica are changing too much. But what sparked it was political change. Now the politics has disconnected itself from the music and the message, and we just have the rudeness. So that's why I say the history of dance hall goes back a long way, and that's why I point to the socialite dances, the uptown dances from the 60s and 70s, where people from the dungle and ghetto, as we like to say, weren't allowed. So we had our own sides. That's how, when I was a little kid in Ocho Rios, I got to see Jack Ruby, because they would throw up the door on the record shop, and the music would just blast into the street, and people would just come and dance down near the clock. This was something that happened all over the island. I remember seeing U Roy and I Roy when I was a little kid. I remember these things because when I would come to Jamaica and I would see these things, they would make such a big impression on me, because they weren't things that I got to see all the time. And I took it in like a film, because I knew this was my culture, even though I wasn't exposed to it on a daily basis in America. I was seeing it in a different way in America, because it was connected to the civil rights movement, which is the same thing that was happening in Jamaica, because it was right before Jamaican independence in the 1960s that the Rude Boy movement ramped up. And it also became very popular in England during the same time, because that's when ska made its transition to becoming something else. At this point, we're
But it
not
was,
sure what ska became in England, but one thing is sure, it drew in a whole bunch of European kids and people all over Europe, because they wanted to dance. They didn't care about the message. Now we're dealing with the message that's been given out all the time. And in terms of these older artists, I want to point to two artists that really stole it almost took me out when they got taken out.
Okay, when you do that, then we're gonna go to comments. Go ahead.
Okay, Styles Scott got killed on his front gate. Okay, one of the Diamonds got killed in the front of his house. Come
but
on
in
now.
but in those days it was knife cutting. It was giving you telephone cut and cutting your belly and what. It wasn't the shoot up bang bang
But
like
it's
is
still,
going on now.
but Queen, it is
Yeah.
still violence. Any which way you look at it, knives are no different than guns. They're still
Yeah,
violent.
that's what I'm saying. It was still violent, like
Okay.
Sister Acid is saying, but it was just a different form of violence.
All right. Donna Moody says that's true, Mama Acid. Miriam says there are a lot of positive artists, but the music industry has its own agenda, and it's called making money by any means necessary.
Amen.
Pockets
Mm-hmm.
and know the influence they have an impressionable mind. Slack lyrics have been around from before Ninja Man and the likes of him. When I listened to some of the old Calypso and Mento lyrics, they were just as bad. Those artists just made it sound funny. Miriam also said
Exactly.
every genre of music has good and bad for every generation, which that is
Yep.
true
Yep.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
The respect that you were saying something.
Yeah, what I'm saying, back in those days, 60s, 70s, 80s, it wasn't labeled that, at that point dancehall. It was still reggae music. And Brigadier and Charlie Chaplin and Josie Wales and all Drew Roy, they battle with each other, but it wasn't violent and disrespectful like it is now.
It's
It's a
it
big difference
in
from then to
some way,
now.
in some ways, even Josie will pop badness, but it's not just, let's just say it's not as vulgar maybe as
Comedic, yeah,
how
in
it
a
is
comedy
now.
way,
Say that again.
in a comedy way,
About comedy or
in a
not
joking
comedy,
way.
it's still violence. It's still talking about the same violence, but making joke of it, it doesn't
Lady
escalate.
D.
It's always been there. Go ahead,
La-
Ashton.
Lady D. What about one particular thing that we all know? We have all said when we have heard a sound boy say it. We're gonna kill a sound tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. That is the
Rodigan made his money. Rodigan made the biggest of his money off that particular saying. David Rodigan, a white guy from England. Now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry I have to say it that way, but I met Rodigan and I think he's a very pleasant chap.
I've met
But
him as
he's
well.
certainly not a Jamaican, and he most certainly doesn't understand the he doesn't understand the feelings that we have about certain things because the sensibilities of how his records are selected are because he has three black selectors who pull the records and hand them to him. He doesn't even pull his own records. When I saw that at a show in London, that changed me. And I want to say big up to Mark and Top Secret Studios because if it hadn't have been for you, Mark Ainsworth, I wouldn't have been up in that piece to be able to see that because I would have never believed it. People kept telling me this for years and years, and I said, "You're lying." I know Rodigan pulling his own disc. Rodigan don't pull nothing. Rodigan lay it on the table and stand back and talk. Rodigan don't play his own set. And if you watch any of his videos, you'll see it for yourself. Now, I'm sorry I had to throw this in there, but to me, this is the true example of how all of this was infiltrated into our community because we had people like Rodigan who started bigging up the violence, okay? Until we had people start bigging up the violence, we took it as some metaphor. These metaphors became real actions. And that's why first we start seeing shootings in the dance hall. Okay. After somebody said a sound boy gonna lose his life tonight, sound boys started losing their lives for real. Okay. Sound men start getting killed. It was murders in studios, and it wasn't over things like politics, it was over colors. We've been talking about this we've been talking about this green and this orange war for a while. And
Mhm.
I want to take people back to Claudie and Bucky.
Okay, before you go there, another comment was made. Miriam says Rodigan forgot who bring him to the forefront. Kismeti, KMT.
Jesus, I love her. I love her. Listen, sister,
Mm-hmm.
happy Windrush Day. Happy Windrush Day to all my relatives, every single one of you in England, still being held in captivity without the proper documentation, representation, and respect. Happy Windrush Day to you. Because we should have never allowed Rodigan to come in and do what he did to our community because he destroyed a lot of our institutions. Okay? And I'm gonna call it just like that because there's a lot of sound selectors that would not play against Rodigan, and there are others who will play against him because they already know what's gonna happen. Listen, this thing is not new. This thing is not unintentional.
But
These people shooting people about dance hall music has been going on for a long time, because every time an election is planned, who do they have first run up into the booth to go and make sounds? They make big, big, boasty, angry sounds. They don't make no, we're going to put a chicken in every pot. Come bring a candle and ring a bell. They're not bringing that. Why not? That's what we need to be exploring. Why are they bringing all this violence? And why are our politicians angry and fighting each other up in parliament instead of doing something about this? Especially if we got members of parliament who are supposed to be handling this. And yes, I'm getting mad because I'm going to say her name again. Babsy, you know. We're talking about you, and you know that every time we get into these discussions, it all leads right back to the same thing. Why is the heritage of Jamaica taken for pennies by Jamaicans and exported around the world as billions? And I'm going to say Mighty Crown sound system is a prime example, a sound system that come all the way from Japan to come to Jamaica to buy records, to take back to China and Japan and play them and make billions of dollars. Not
Well,
one
you
taken
see,
amongst them but the records.
okay,
you
Mama Miriam says thank you, Mama Acid. Go ahead, Queen.
yeah, there's a lot going on now pertaining to Babsy. It's also alleged that she was one of them that was instrumental in bringing, she was into the gang business even though it was undercover, and this was even before she came into parliament.
Yes,
And that
Queen.
she was one of them that was instrumental. It's alleged that she was one of them that also contributed to the death uh, that they gangster so-called gangster major. So she's involved, and it's a lot coming out now about her involvement in crime, and not just crime, but also into the music, the dancehall music that is out there, because she knows most of these artists, these badman so-called artists, and because she's in politics now, she is putting on a front. It is alleged that she's putting on a front out there now, because Baba, it says that Baba she was instrumental in killing Baba.
Well, it's
It's
alleged
alleged.
instrumental. And
It's alleged, yes, that she was instrumental in killing Baba.
okay.
So it's a lot of stuff going on undercover that we don't know, we the public don't know about. But now that media is prevalent in all areas of Jamaica, a lot of things are coming out. And this one I saw on YouTube, this individual, he's also a gangster, and he had a mask on when he was talking about her and saying that he knows her. He knows her just like a brother and a sister knowing each other. So there's a lot of stuff coming out. Half of these folks, it's alleged, that is in Parliament. Half of them are associated with crooks and gangsters. So what can you expect with the music and what's going on in Jamaica?
Um,
The
uh,
bottom line is,
wait one
bottom
moment, the
line is,
respecter. Miriam said, Whom is Babsy?
Babsy Grange. Okay. She is in the one in charge of cultural affairs and quite a bit of roles she have in Jamaica. But her main
Queenie,
role
cultural
supposed to be
affairs.
cultural affairs.
Entertainment.
Yeah. That's supposed to be her main role. But she's dipping in all the other areas she's dipping in.
No, that is her title. She definitely has
Minister of Cultural Affairs.
of entertainment and cultural.
Mm-hmm. So,
So that's whom she is for Miriam. Big up all of the UK massive and the New York massive, Donna. Thanks for checking in. One for each and every one to share the link and continue to listen. We're going to open up the lines in the last hour of the show. And we still have the topics of Dr. Umar with China and Chinese politics in Jamaica. We also still have in the mix the submarine and also aliens. Yeah, we're going to be touching aliens tonight. Tonight.
Hey, we
Andrew
got a shout
Holness.
out. We got two shout outs.
Andrew Holness. Whom are the shout outs to?
One is from the truckers. Okay, at the truck stop again. They said they missed us and they thought it was awfully funny that we disappeared after we did that prolific show and called everybody out.
Yeah,
And then
we went into hiding. We went into hiding. Um,
well, you know, I
give
wanted
me,
to say that, but I know they're listening. They hear us, and so
give
big
me,
up truckers. We know y'all are 75. We just want y'all to be safe down there in Florida because we know y'all not seeing nothing but those red crosses on the road. And when I heard about the red crosses, it kind of scared me. But I wouldn't have heard about it if it wasn't for the truckers. So if you happen to be in Florida and you see one of those crosses on the road and it's red, don't stop in that area.
all right.
Those are
Who's
MAGA
the next shout
warning
out? Because
signs.
who's the next shout out? Love you truckers.
Oh, the
Who's the
second
next shout
shout out
out?
is to the barber shop and the people at the airport. The people at the airport and the people at the barber shop are hanging out tonight because the people at the airport are getting their haircut at the barber shop.
All
So
right.
they shouted out from the barber shop up in
Smaller
Queens, New York. Big up, Queens. We love you.
Queens, we love you. The Respecta had a comment to make, and before the Respecta, a comment was placed by Miriam saying, "Chuddy two political parties in JA corrupt KMT Kismet teeth." Go ahead, and that's it's a sad thing that it's the same thing here in America. The two parties are corrupt, and what we have to do is to decide on the lesser evil, and we can't even say the lesser corrupt person because they seem to be on the same level. But the lesser evil, the ones whom are looking out, even if it's as small as a mustard seed, that they're looking out for the the citizens of Jamaica, that is even good. So I implore a lot of the listeners whom are voting in Jamaica to make sure stop dealing with the colors and the symbols and the letters, and deal with the message that each one is bringing out, and go for the latter evil, because as we know, both is no good, so we just go for the one latter. It's the same thing here in America. We have Democrats and the Republican, and we have to vote for the latter evil between the two of them. So go on the Respecta, the wait, go on the Respecta. You were going to make a comment before I interrupted you.
I would really love to see changes where older people in government, entertainment, pastors, teachers, everybody realize that young people are going through more than they should go through because they have decisions to make. A lot of them are not educated, but they're talented and have skills. And they're trying to use what they know to make some money to help what means their mother. And it's kind of hard and sad at the same time that those who are older, more educated, and have the status, which is money, that can make life better and easier for them by help direct them in a better path, direction. And they're not doing it. Everybody seems to be for themselves. And preachers don't know the power they have if they were to come together as a unit and confront government on behalf of the communities. That would make a huge difference in everything in life. So I hope somebody's listening that has the power. I'll,
The
you know,
respecter. You say preachers don't know the power that they have?
they don't know the powers that they have because they lay back in the churches, and from the churches to maybe a bar or a club or their bedroom, and they're not going in public to let the public know that, look, government is doing this and government is doing that, and it's wrong.
But the Respecta,
It's
some of
kind of
these preachers are directly involved in the politics in the country. Some of them are directly seen standing beside some of these members of parliament and even the prime minister. And that in itself is questionable if you say they don't know what they're doing, because I think
But
they
it's
pretty
not
well
happening.
know what they're doing.
How is it happening in the community?
I think they all know what they're doing, when you speak on regards to churches and the pastors and stuff, and based in Jamaica, a lot of them fear for their lives, and that's a lot with with just everyday people as
But
well.
but
It's
Lady
that
D,
they
just
are
last
afraid
week,
for their lives.
you missed a piece that Queen sent to me about the gunman preachers, about the preachers who have gunmen surrounding them. And she sent me this video to watch of another show where they were talking about these gunmen coming and approaching them at a protest. These were gunmen who told they were directly attached to the preacher because they told him, go away from your boy. Now, listen, if this man is an activist, why would a preacher even approach him that way? First thing, but really to me, why would a preacher have any connection with a gunman? Why would
I don't
preachers need
necessarily,
that?
I don't even necessarily know of gunmen or if it's security, because some of these, there was an incident just last year where where a pastor was out and they murdered him because he spoke out about certain things. So a lot of these pastors, if they're in fear of their lives. So a lot are starting to get protection. There's a lot of pastors here, and yes, we're gonna say they're supposed to believe in God and trust in God and all of these things, which is true, and we have faith. But God says He helped the man that helped himself. So you have to, you do your part and He do His. He's not stopping a gunman from walking into the church. Right there in Creflo Dollar, there was in here in Atlanta, there was a guy that walked in and shot one of the pastors on the pulpit. So I mean,
Yeah, I heard about that.
a lot of pastors are taking up arms, to protect themselves. Yes, a lot is involved in a lot of going on, and that's why they shut their eye and turn their back as if they don't see it, because a lot is afraid for their lives. And Miriam says preachers are involved in the crimes as well. Yes, a lot of them is, but not all is willingly. So in a way of not being involved in crime, a lot turn the blind eye to a lot of what's going on, so they can still continue to reach the masses that are there. But being a pastor, you have to understand that, you know, you have to, sometimes you're gonna have to lay your life down for what you do believe in. And
And
that's
not just
things that Martin Luther King did as well. He died for a cause as well as he being, and we don't have any more of those sacrificial.
and not just that, lady, but still, even if you are gonna have security, people who are protecting you, you still need to brief these individual and explain to them how you should act and how you shouldn't act. But this video that I saw, that was not just security. These were some thugs, it seemed more or less like thugs. And we are do ya boy, move from ya so boy.
Okay,
And you know,
one moment. I have to stand corrected. Donna Moody Donna put preachers are involved in the crime as well. I think I had said Miriam.
true.
I had said Donna Moody. So Donna Moody posed made that statement right there that preachers are involved in the crime as well. Yeah, go ahead, Queen.
Yeah, it's the way, it's the approach, how you approach individual. This could be these are men that don't know this individual. Yes, the preacher knew him, but what if it was a person coming in humble and just wanted to some prayer from this minister, man? The way you approach this individual was negative. And if you as a preacher, you need to inform your security. Listen, I'm a preacher and there might be people that's going to come to me for guidance or counseling.
I'm
And
going I'm going to stop you right there, because I don't think it's the everyday person that pastor made that gesture towards, and maybe they do, but in that particular instant, That pastor was they were rude because of the individual that they know of that was coming towards them.
He was
No,
a
but there was
journalist.
another individual
It
that
was a
said it happened to
journalist.
him the day
But
before.
it
An older man.
excuse me.
There, there was an older man, and he said the same thing. If you watch the video, I sent it to you. He said the same thing happened to him the day before that. The same approach, the same way he was approached. And this is an older man.
Okay. Well, I stand corrected. And as I said, maybe it does and maybe it does not. So since it has happened to someone else, I also know the individual because they have said they're not mingling with certain people. Now, what certain people that they're speaking of, that should be another question. But yeah, I'm not going to fault. Yes, I fault for the way that his security approached the situation and dealt with the situation,
Yeah,
but I don't find it fault for a person trying to protect themselves. And if they can protect themselves,
true, true.
as being
Mhm.
a pastor, a politician, or even an entertainer, so we can understand, going back to the dance hall artists and badness topic, that yeah, they're going to be dance hall artists that's going to deal with badness because they go into areas that are full of badness, and they have to go in those areas with their entourage to protect themselves. But to just go around and killing innocent people, that's a no-no. You have two ways that you can look at this. So Mama Acid is came back on the stream. Yeah, you have two ways to look at it. It's a sad thing, and it's a sad reality. Donna says that a lot of the churches are the secret place for meeting where the criminals conspire.
Mm,
Ouch.
Oh
mm.
boy, she
Hey.
sounds like she
Ouch,
reading my mind.
ouch, Donna. Donna went straight for the juggler on that one. Donna, you went straight for the juggler for that one there.
Okay, let me just add, let me advance us. This is not going to be good, but I'm going to do it anyway. Can we please go to this discussion about cash and what is going on in Jamaica with politics so that we could get to laugh and scream about what we have been talking about?
Okay, so are we going into Dr. Uma with the Chinese and politics,
No,
Jamaica?
let's talk about politics first and then we'll talk about Dr. Umar last.
All
we
right,
I
let's
think
we
go
it's
on.
can talk about that. Your prime minister was crying this Tuesday
Woo.
in Parliament and yelling and screaming and saying
literally.
how people lying on him.
Yep, he had a tantrum. I mean, a real little
Yeah,
kid's
a real
5-year-old
tantrum.
tantrum.
Yes.
Okay, before let's some comments. Donna says fact, and Miriam says Donna from long time, LOL. That the churches is the secret place, the meetings where the criminals um
Mhm.
and do their things. Yeah. So go ahead, Acid, as we move on.
Okay, so we know that there's a lot of secret deals that have been getting cooked up in Jamaica, and we know that we started out talking about how money is moving around within Jamaica, but nobody sees it and nobody knows where it is or really who has it, or for that matter, what's really the rule of law right now, because Jamaica's financial institutions are literally pirates' booty. I mean, you don't know if your money is in there, and 5 minutes later you go back there, the whole place may be a different name. I mean, I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's kind of basically what we're dealing with. And to know that the parliament knows so much about this before it happened, to know that the parliament could have done something to stop this, and to also understand that the prime minister himself played his part in this is just pure folly. And the word folly is the only one that I can use, because to say anything else wouldn't really even serve the situation, because you have to laugh in order to keep from crying when you have criminals who have colluded to this level that we now have to say it is alleged that their money came from real estate transactions where they did not have the money in advance, but now it is alleged that the money that they have in their accounts came from alleged secret transactions that were conducted with alleged secret partners from China. Okay,
Mhm.
like the alleged hospital for children and the alleged sale of the real estate surrounding the entire north coast of Jamaica, including
Mhm.
parts of land that absolutely should never have been ceded to anyone because it belongs to the community.
Okay.
They're tearing down houses, they're changing values in different areas, they're changing taxes. There's no discussion about any sort of righting of the wrongs financially. There's no real follow up in terms of what's going on with the criminal case from, SCMB. We don't know at all what money situation Jamaica is going to be on next week because right now Jamaica's under the foot of the Chinese in two ways. One is because Jamaica signed an agreement with the Chinese for the North South Highway and the East West Highway. We have to understand that when you build a highway straight across the island that Jamaica could have built all these years ago but didn't, and then you demand a certain amount of money and control over that highway, you have
Mhm.
then superseded the government. So if the Chinese decide to shut down the North South Highway or to shut down the East West Highway, I know y'all wondering why I'm calling out four highways. The East West Highway, everybody knows about. Okay. The North South Highway, when they built that highway directly from Kingston all the way to Mo Bay,
No. Mhm.
nobody expected that. But nobody really expected that Freedom Highway was going to give all the money to the Chinese.
Mhm.
Why are they collecting money beyond the cost to build it and maintain it? Does Jamaica not have some money coming back from all of the tolls that are collected 24 hours a day, 365
No.
days a year?
Well, it's
No, it's alleged that China controlled the whole toll. Jamaica has no say in the toll and they don't get a profit from that toll. It's China that gets the profit from the toll because they build the road.
well, it's I also read where it's alleged that Jamaica is almost $27 million or $1 billion in debt. Um,
Yeah, that's
to,
vampire
Yes.
debt.
they're doing, I guess, to China. So I guess those are the ways that they're trying to pay off or pay down the debt.
Well,
Or is it
listen,
well,
there's a lot of money being transferred to Jamaica that is unaccounted for. Right now, Jamaica have a $29 billion insurance, and these are review cap bonds, right? The other day, Binga, who is the president of the World Bank, he's Arab, and he was in Jamaica, and he was down there for a whole week. A lot of people didn't even know that he was down there, and this is what he used. It's alleged that he uses the agricultural department, and not just the agriculture, but the 183 million dollar storm protection money that was given to Jamaica.
and
Now,
I
Jamaica is the only country in the Caribbean that received this money. Why? Why is this president who have never none from what it's alleged that in all the history of Jamaica, no president of the World Bank has ever visited Jamaica?
and that's something that we'll try to get to the questions of this statement that you've made in regards to the bank, the president of the World Bank next
Yes.
next week, because that's not in our we're not going to go into why. Let's marinate on that, and next week we touch the president of the World Bank coming to Jamaica
Mhm.
and
But you
why.
Yeah.
didn't mention the International Development Bank
I
president
would,
being
I
with them.
would, I would. There's a comment. Let me give two comments. Miriam said, said, I've said it a million times already. The people of JA are going to end up slaves again in their own backyard, but this time to the Chinese. And she's also said, if they are not careful. And that's one of the things that
Dr. Humor.
Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Umar was speaking about. And I wanted to play his, I was going to play his tape, but some of the insights that he brought about in how Jamaica is going to be back into this get into this slavery is because of the Chinese building. They're building schools, they're building hospitals, they're
Mhm.
going over. So we're going to touch
Teaching our children.
a little bit of what Dr. Umar had to say, and then we're going to come back to that. And from there, we're going to jump on over our time as our as our time will be running low. We're going to come back as we're going to be speaking also about just touching a snippet of the submarine and the aliens. And we want to open up our lines so that our listeners can definitely call in and give us their opinion. Remember that we are on Skype. So if you do have Skype to Skype is free. So it will be a free call to our telephone numbers at 706-955-2001. So we will notify you all in a minute when we're going to open the lines up for you all to call in. So I'm going to touch on Dr. Uma. Let's hear what he has to say.
Please explain how China has strategically taken over control of numerous African countries and Jamaica without the use of military force. What will their domination mean long term? Great question. I'll pause because it bothers me when I look at Africa and the Caribbean islands. And I just came back from Aruba, and I'll be going later on this year to Martinique, Curacao, and back to Suriname in South America. But it bothers me when I look at the history of how we fought for liberation, followed by independence in the Caribbean, only to hand that independence back over to another race of people. So we fought for freedom from the white man, and now we're handing over that freedom to the yellow man. When I was in Jamaica, 2015, I keynoted National Heroes Week, Irie FM and Ocho Rios and Marcus Garvey's yeah. Me and Muta Baruka, actually. And while I was in Jamaica, I heard all these rumblings about the Chinese. And I've been to Jamaica before and I've seen the Chinese. But in studying what they have done since my last visit, I was astounded and appalled to find out that they had made so much inroads into controlling and influencing the infrastructure of the Jamaican people. The Chinese built a road from Kingston, one side of the island, to the other side of the island. And in exchange for the roads that they built, the Jamaican government, unless this has changed since then, gave the Chinese total control over the toll money that will be made by people using the Northwest or East-West Highway. Why would you give a foreign power complete monetary control of the tolls on this road that you know half of Jamaica going to be using? You're talking millions of dollars of revenue you're giving to the yellow man just because he built the road. In addition to that, the Chinese are building it's probably done by now. They were building at that time 2 schools, and they were bringing Chinese educators over to help the Jamaican people educate black children. They built the Children's Hospital, which is supposed to be largely staffed with Chinese. They also gave the Chinese total control of all tourism on both sides of that highway that goes from one side of the island to the other. I was also told that they gave the Chinese the right to drill in natural rainforests in the Jamaican on the Jamaican territory for Chinese exploitation. They've given them tax abatements, and they also purchased, if I'm not mistaken, the port, the main port of Jamaica. All right, they own the port. Is owned by the Chinese. Exactly. If another race owns your port, that means they control what's coming in. They control what's going out. What about the drugs? What about the guns? What about the COVID? You don't know what them people bringing in. And you mean to tell me that the Chinese care so much about Jamaican people that they're not going to educate our kids and take care of their health? Chinese don't care about black folks. Go to China. Go to China and see how they treat black people in China. So to me, what I think this is the government of Jamaica, like so many African governments, so many other Caribbean governments have done. They've gotten in bed financially with the Chinese. The Chinese have studied the way the white man has practiced neo-colonialism throughout Africa. And the Chinese has learned that these black leaders don't really care about their people. They're all about their pocket. So I'm going to do what the white man did, but I'm going to do it one time better. I'm going to offer them double the money. You let me take over this land right here. I'll get the white man offering you $1 million. I'm offering you $3 million. And I'm going to build you a retirement home. And I'm going to pay for all your kids to go to college in China. You follow what I'm saying? And I'm going to give you a private military. So the Chinese have basically become neo-colonialists 2.0. They're outdoing the Europeans. You follow me? And they're giving Caribbean and African leaders offers that they can't refuse. And guess what? When you abdicate on that loan that they give you, because all this is loans. These are not handouts. It's all loans. When you abdicate on the loan in that contract, you have to give them large concessions of land and large concessions of your economy. There's an African country right now. Is it Uganda? There is an African country who defaulted on their loan to the Chinese and they now own their national airport. I forget which, they own the airport now because they couldn't pay back the loan. The Chinese know what they're doing. The problem we have as African people is we tend to think anybody who's not white is a friend of ours. Nobody is our friend, not the Arab, not the Chinese, not the Latino, except the African Latinos who identify with us, not the East Indians, not the Native Americans. We don't have friends. But black people have been seduced into this multiculturalism, which says the brown man is your friend, the yellow man is your friend, the red man is your friend. No, they're not. Black people don't have no friends. And my greatest fear about Chinese neocolonialism 2.0, my greatest fear about Chinese neocolonialism 2.0 is when the time for revolution comes, because there will be a second revolution because you got to get rid of the Chinese. You will have to fight 10 times harder. When you fought to get the white man out in the 60s, in the 40s, in the 50s, it was a little easier because he don't have the numerical strength. The white man had to use other black people in his armies to fight blacks because they're only 10% of the world. They don't have enough. China is the most populous country on the planet Earth. They have 1 billion people, not to mention their reserves around the planet. Okay? Don't get me wrong. African people, we're 2 billion. We're the biggest. The problem is most of us identify something other than black, which reduces our numbers. I'm not African. I'm multiracial. I'm not African. I'm Latino. I'm not African. I'm Samoan. You follow? So we are disintegrated based on these names. Here's the point that I'm making. Because the Chinese have the technology, because the Chinese have the manpower, the second war for African independence, the second revolution for African independence against Chinese neocolonialism 2.0 is going to be 10 times as bloody, 10 times as long, and it's going to require the sacrifice of 10 times as many people. We will not be able to throw them out of Africa and throw them out of the Caribbean as easily as we did the whites. And the whites wasn't easy. That was a hell of a war. So just multiply that by 100. And that's what we're going to have to deal with the Chinese. The worst thing we're doing is giving them all this, and it's being done through the politicians. The politicians are doing it. But here's 3 things that keeps Africa enslaved to the Chinese and the white man by virtue of their politicians. Number 1, we have been distracted in America, the Caribbean, Africa, all over the world. It's a Pan-African problem. We have been distracted from development with democracy. Everybody's focusing on who to vote for. You're not looking at the conditions. What's going to change whether he wins or he wins? Because guess who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your oil. Who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your gold. Who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your coat-tan. You follow me? So democracy is a joke they play on black people to make you think you can have radical transformation without revolution. The reason the white man pushes democracy globally so hard is if there's ever a breakdown in the black man's confidence in democracy, the only alternative is revolution. So that's number one. Democracy is a distraction from development. Number two, when I travel, especially Africa, but it's true in the Caribbean also, black people are more concerned with their tribe being in control than they are with liberation from foreign control. Are you following me? I've seen it. So when the elections is coming up, it's not about freeing us from white supremacy or Chinese imperialism. It's about, are my people going to be the president? Is somebody from my tribe going to be the prime minister? And because they're more concerned about tribal imperialism than African independence, this democratic scheme that they run on black people continues because we're so petty and so small in our thinking. I just want to make sure his people don't get the presidency. I'm not even looking at the bigger picture. The white man knows this. The Chinese know this. So they come in, exploit, finance both sides. So no matter who wins, they get all the resources. And then the third issue is most African leaders and Caribbean are foreign educated. They go to Britain for their education. They go to France for their education. They go to Belgium. They come to America for their education. And what did Dr. Carter G. Woodson say in Miseducation of the Negro? The college-educated Negro is seldom of any use to his race because the education he gets is an education that takes him away from identification with his people. So most of our African and Caribbean and American leaders are Negropean. They have an African body. They have a European mind. So the white man and the yellow man are controlling the black man through remote control by virtue of conscious control of the way that he thinks. The entire thought process of the African leader, there's a few exceptions, but for most of them and the Caribbean, the entire thought process is that of a white man. How can we get free?
How can we get free? What is your thoughts? What are you all thoughts, panel? What is your thoughts? Miriam says mental slavery. Mental slavery.
How many shows have we done about the Chinese and their infiltration tactics? Have we been talking about this for at least 5 years?
5 years. Yeah.
Okay, so before that, we talked about the technology exchange that was occurring and how it was being controlled in terms of Jamaica's growth. But for some reason, Jamaica seemed to ignore that the world around it was using it as a sort of like a chemistry set, let's say. We figured this out when we found out that the world was tapping every phone in Jamaica back in 2000, and I think that was about 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. Anyway, when we found out that the Irish were actually behind that, then we wanted to know who funded the Irish. Who did it come back to? China.
Donna says sometimes I believe that they are just putting the Chinese up front and it's really a deep state government that's running the show.
Probably, as long as they could print that money. But the one thing that changed everything for me was when I saw China changing Jamaica's financial picture directly, not behind the scenes anymore, directly. And the reason I say directly is because every day when that money is picked up from those toll booths, it does not go to a Jamaican bank at all. Has anyone ever thought about the fact that Jamaica doesn't even make a dollar in the transfer? The money is directly transported. Listen to this now, okay? Because I want everybody to understand where all that money is going. Because if we had some real bad boys and some real gangsters in Jamaica who do more than shoot at Brinks trucks, or should I say armored cars, since they call themselves, desperados and all these other things. If y'all thugs, why don't y'all go on over there and take them Chinese cars? They use Chinese armored cars. They roll through, they drop that box in the back seat, and then they stick a new box in and it keeps rolling. Okay? How is all that currency getting transferred out of Jamaica? Oh, it's going out on Chinese planes every single day. Who owns that private airport that China has down there by the wharf? China. It doesn't belong to Jamaica. Who owns Jamaica's airport? Main airport. The airport Sangster. Sangster Airport in Kingston is owned by who? The Mexicans. The Mexicans own Jamaica's main business airport. Okay? The tourist airport is being financed by the Mexicans in partnership with Jamaica. Jamaica only has 25% ownership in its own tourist infrastructure. 25%. 25%. I'm going to say that one more time. And for those who don't understand, when the dredging was done for the new deep water port at Falmouth, as well as the redredging in the harbor for the deep water expansion in Ocho Rios, guess who did it? The Chinese. Has anyone talked about that yet? I don't think we mentioned it on the show because I hadn't really spent much time looking into that, but I decided to call the tourist board and ask them about that expansion as well. I called Jamaica Tourist Board and asked them about something else. What is the procedure for Jamaicans when they want to go to the beach on a day when a cruise ship is in port? And this absolutely made me so I can't even hardly say it. So y'all know I'm angry. If you are Jamaican and you want to go to the beach, you got to go to a beach where you pay to get onto the beach, unless you go to one of the free beaches, which would be someplace down by Bull Bay. And that's not going to be free much longer because they are putting up barriers and gates at all of the beaches that used to be openly accessible, because now you have to have a pass. Who owns that system?
Well, we definitely spoke about that a couple of months ago when the situation took
Who
place.
owns that system, though? Who owns that system? Where does that money go? Who employs those people? It's not Jamaica Tourism. Okay, so the government is instituting all these things, but do the people in Jamaica really know how this plays out in terms of the economy and laws? And let me tell you, that's a problem.
And the Mexicans are prevalent in Jamaica now. I was watching a show this afternoon, Anthony Spearfishing, and that was one of the things they were talking about. They were talking about the Mexicans building. They're doing some type of building in Jamaica, and he was Rafa Krafa was on there. He was a guest. They were cooking for him, and that's what they were discussing about how they went down to evidently that site that they were working, and it was mostly Mexican there, and the way the derogative statements that the Mexicans were making, and Rafa Crawford and the other guy was saying we don't tolerate things of that nature, but they're not just visible, but they're outspoken and they're loud out there. That shows you that they have a lot of clout.
Everyone is loud. Well, like I said, all the way up in the hills of St. Anne's, they have a lot of Mexicans there, and I'm like, what are they doing up here? When I first went and saw the Chinese up there, I said, what they're doing up there?
Up
And
here
then,
past 9
but
miles.
they're everywhere. The Mexican, the Chinese, the whites, they are everywhere in Jamaica. There's no hill nor gully that they aren't in. And it's sad, and we're gonna always and continue to speak about the what's going on in Jamaica. And there's nothing that Dr. Umar said that we haven't already reasoned
Covered.
in
Hmm.
regards to the Chinese with Jamaica and their police stations and all of these things. Sharon said to give the number back again. And Miriam says the current and previous prime ministers of Jamaica, JA, have been paid and set up for life. They don't give a toss about everyday Joe and his family and about the suffering they are going through. Politician attitudes is I'm all right, Jack, as they say in the UK.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Lady D.
Yes. Go ahead, the respecter. And then we're
I mean,
gonna
I mean,
uh-huh.
we- we've been talking like this for a long time. Truth is, seems to me, every other race practice and study black folks. They figure out how to get to a black person, a black country.
How to
But
manipulate.
and black folks target each other. We hate each other. Light skinned blacks don't like dark skinned black, and we do bad things to each other, but not to the Chinese, not to the whites. We're not studying how to get over on the Chinese, how to get over another race, just on our own selves. And it's been like this forever.
Well,
So we
you
can talk and talk and talk until we, as a country of Jamaica, Island, Africa, black folks, come together and realize it's been going on for too long. Everybody is manipulating us, and we are manipulating us. So how can we get to that point, that level that the Chinese are, and the white folks are, and Mexicans are?
The
It's very
respecter.
sad, man.
okay.
What about the
We're gonna
Maroons?
we're gonna get ready to move on from that topic because that's a
But
long topic.
but
I'm
but
gonna
Lady
let you make
D,
your point. Wait a minute. I'm going to let you make your point. But then it's 9:31. We need to touch a little bit on the alien situation and open our lines, give our callers opportunity to call in. In another 10 minutes, we're going to open the lines, which is 706-955-2001 for our callers to be able to call in. After we've completed the alien segment, complete your thought, Mama Acid, and then we're going to move on. Go ahead.
okay, what I was going to say is the respecter is absolutely correct, but one thing he left out was that we have had numerous freedom movements in Jamaica. People tend to not follow freedom movements because they are always looking for the newest and hottest trend without relating to the fact that that erases all the things that worked that we know of before that because we're willing to just try it. So maybe one thing we might need to do is refresh ourselves on history. Maybe we do need to go get a book and a bell and a candle. For real though.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, we want to once again thank each of our listeners that are listening via our telephone lines, our listening telephone lines at 667-930-9036, listening to us via our website at www.dapowerhouseradio.com, listening through the YouTube channel, the Facebook channel, and also listening via the tuning apps. We also want to thank Victoria's 89.1 FM radio for carrying the Reasoning Thursday program each and every Thursdays, 8 to 10 p.m. And we encourage you all to please go over to our YouTube page and like, subscribe, and get notified each and every Thursdays. And when we are on or any of our other talk shows, that such as Let's Gripe, that is on right here on the Powerhouse Radio. Miriam says we need a new Marcus Garvey. Well, to answer that, Miriam, I was saying there's no sacrificial lamb, you know, because we as African persons, there's no one that's really willing to carry that baton. I guess we've gotten afraid of all the assassinations that have already taken place that not no one don't want to put themselves up front anymore, you know. So aliens. Mama Acid, you started out with speaking on the sightings of UFOs, and what's the take on that? And then we're going to open our lines and I'll let you all know exactly when we're opening our lines in about another 10, 15 minutes. Go on, Mama Acid.
Okay, there's a lady named Mrs. Fletcher that lives in Hall, which is near Discovery Bay on the north coast of Jamaica. She's been there for a real long time. I remember her from when I was a teenager, and she's always been a real nice lady. Anyway, she's real old now. And she used to talk about the aliens in Jamaica because she said people didn't want to believe that Jamaica was an alien landing base and that the aliens were coming to Jamaica and doing experiments because they could land in the gorge where they would pull bauxite out of for aluminum, and the fact that the aluminum plant was operating would sort of distract you from the fact that the aliens were coming and going to Jamaica so quickly. And when they would take off, it would cause an earthquake in Jamaica. So she said every time she felt the earthquake, she knew the aliens were either coming or going. So recently, there was a discussion by some people who had been in Fern Gully of a thing that they saw in Fern Gully, because they can't call it a person, they can't call it a animal. They said they never seen anything like it. And these were not Jamaicans, these were tourists. That's what made it so unbelievable. Anyway, so black people love to go to Jamaica. We always love to go take pictures with the living trees and to, do that whole let's go to Fern Gully thing. Well, these people took some pictures, and in the background of the picture was something that they didn't notice at first, and then they saw it. So the lady posted it on Facebook, and it was also posted on Reddit. Now, I saw it on Reddit because I go on Reddit because I can't go on Facebook. And when I saw it, the first thing I thought was, wow, that person sure is shiny. Okay, I know people are not shiny, but this thing was shining in the background of this picture like it was something tall, like a diamond, like a tall rock that was shining, and it was right behind the people and the living tree. For people who don't know what the living tree is, when you go to Fern Gully, they have people who pick up the palm fronds from the great big giant prehistoric palms that are in there, and they put them on in these costumes, and they take pictures with you. They dance beside the side of the road like they're the living trees in Fern Gully. So it's kind of like a tourist destination. And to see that linked with what she's saying, which is less than 25 miles away, makes it kind of feel eerily updating on my childhood hearing this story from her, because I was on the bridge one time in Christiana, going across the bridge, going across the gorge, and an earthquake happened. And when the earthquake happened, we were on the bridge, and it's a swinging bridge. It's this bridge moves. It's a suspension bridge. It is not a solid bridge. Now, a span that long, it would make more sense for them to put a solid bridge there. But I was told the reason they don't put a solid bridge there is that the last two solid bridges they put there ended up falling into the gorge because of the earthquakes. So when we got off of the bridge, we kept driving and we got off the bridge. When we got off the bridge, I got out of the truck, I got down on the ground and kissed the ground. That's how happy I was that I did not fall into that gorge, which was about 1,500 feet down. And the funny thing is, you never hear of anybody working in the gorge, but there's always bauxite coming out of there. And we keep trying to find out who's mining the bauxite in Jamaica now. Since Reynolds Aluminum, American Alcoa Aluminum, pulled out of the North Coast, because all of that is still there. Lady D, you're always on the North Coast. Haven't you seen the bauxite hole, the gorge going towards Christiana?
I've seen it, but I don't know anything about who's working it.
Have you ever seen anybody working there?
I have never, all the time that I've passed there, I haven't seen anyone working it.
Since I was a little
And
kid, I am not either.
I
So
haven't seen activity either. Um
Well,
So
you see, I don't put nothing past it, and my family can tell you because this is something that stuck with me right through my childhood until adulthood. And I really try not to believe in those things, but when you see something that is dominant in your mind from childhood, because I was only like maybe about 10, not, no, younger than that, maybe about 9 years old when I saw it. I was visiting the countryside, Trelawney, and to visit my aunt. And I was standing because my cousins they left me in the dark. But there's a light that always shine on that hill. And when I looked up, I saw this man that was so tall, he did not look like a normal man. And that's when I took off running. Just the fact that he was so tall. I've never seen anyone so tall before. And he was just standing there looking at me. And when I realized in my mind and said, that's not a man, that's not a normal man, I took off running. And I've been telling that story ever since till adulthood. So
Donna
who
said,
knows what is out there in Jamaica? Who knows what is out there in the world?
Donna says so true, and Donna also and Tata Tonya says, "Good evening, ladies. Let's gripe. Pick up yourself."
Hey,
And
Tonya.
Yeah.
you know,
Eh,
my question will be back in the days, and then we're gonna go on and open the lines. My question will be back in the days, um, when persons were speaking of seeing Duppy and seeing these red calves
rolling calf.
rolling calf and all of those things, could it may have necessarily not been Duppy? Could it have been some form of aliens? Because I'm always saying this thing, and you all laugh sometime, but I'm dead serious when I say it, is that I think the dead is dead. And when they said they see spirits, um, I wonder because when they go and when they stole my mom's urn and my mom's flowers and stuff off at the top of it, why my mother didn't get up and box them? Why
Yeah.
all of these why all of these so-called duppies that is inside of these grave sites don't get up and box them and beat them when they turn people over in their grave and steal their jewelries and do all of these things with us? Is it a extraterrestrial? The lines are open 706-955-2001. Queen, Mama Donna Moody said Queen with a smirky face there. So is it Respecta, you want to say something in regards to that? The lines are open. Once again, the numbers here is 706-955-2001. That's 706-955-2001. If you want to make a comment on us
I just
speaking about aliens, if you want to make a comment in regards to the dance hall artists and badness, when we were speaking on that topic in the comments and lines of Andrew Holness, and also the Chinese and politics in Jamaica. Any one of the topics that you all want to make a comment on, or if you all have a comment that you just want to make about something else, definitely call in at 706-955-2001. And remember, it is a Skype number as well. So if you have Skype on your phone, the Skype to Skype call is free. Skype to Skype is free. All righty. Or you can just text your comment once again via any of the lines. Okay, we have oops, why is this not working?
yeah,
Hold on, the respect I got. We have a we have a 718 number that called in first. Out of New York. Caller, you're live on the air, and then the 646 number come up after that. Caller, you're live on the air.
Yes, good night,
Yeah,
everyone. It's Donna.
One moment, Donna. There's another number that called before you, a 718. Go ahead, caller.
Okay.
my thing is that, yeah, the Chinese know what's in Jamaica. They know exactly what's going on. It's not Duppy. It's the aliens. I do believe that there are life on other planets. I do believe that, and I do believe that they're doing what they have to do in Jamaica. There's a lot of resources in Jamaica that these alien want, and also the Chinese. It's not there's a lot of things that's there that we as Jamaican, we're not aware of it, but the Chinese know. They know. They've been trying to get a hold of Jamaica for years. Because if you let a country come in and take all your resources, your ports, your this, your that, there's there's something going on. The prime minister got his hand. The Chinese got their hand on the prime minister. You understand? So there's a lot of stuff going on in Jamaica. Lot of stuff. Why is everybody just gravitating to Jamaica? It's stuff that we as Jamaicans, we're not aware of because we're not keeping up with what's going on. But we need to. We need to get woke. We
Yes.
need to get woke
Yeah.
and start looking what's going on. We're taking things too lightly. The Chinese come and they bring their whole bunch of stuff to Jamaica, and we get so caught up in foolishness. We're not thinking about what's going on. I was watching a program the other day, and I saw a young man showing all the hiding place that the Maroons used to hide, on YouTube. I'm saying, what the heck are you doing? Why are you telling these people we may have to fight again, and we need those places to hide? What are you showing?
Yes. Thank you,
Because I
sister.
see that
Yes,
war coming. I see it
that's right.
coming.
And Dr. Umar said it clearly that there is going to be a second revolution, and it's going to be bloody, and it's going to be even more dangerous. It's going to be worse than a revolution with when we had to fight the white man. But
That's
I'm
what's going
saying
on
this,
now.
yeah, and it's great what caller is saying as to showing where the Maroons used to hide. These people are getting access to a lot of information that we used to have to survive. And now
Yes.
they are, so it's going to be difficult for us to survive whatever revolution is going to take place.
We're not going to be able to survive it. The Chinese, they have their own weapons. Now they're coming into to the schools to brainwash the young kids. What are they going to teach black children? What does Chinese people know about us?
Yeah.
I don't even know. We need to get rid of Mr. Wholeness. He needs to go, and we have to get up and start thinking of what's going to happen in the future. This man is going to take the money and he's going to run.
But
He's
but
going to run
caller,
all the
caller, caller, is it just him or is it the system? Because we think it's the whole system. We need to get rid of both the orange and the green ones. They need to all
yeah.
go.
Yeah, but when
Before, when I was younger, the PMP and the Labor Right, when it was Michael Manley or even Siaga, at least they kind of thought about Jamaica. They never
Yeah.
run like that.
Yeah.
But these people that's in now, all they're thinking about is getting the money and run. And when they run to Europe, they run to America.
they
They're
went
not
to
going to
other parts
stay in
of the
Jamaica.
Caribbean.
Yeah,
They
don't
went
forget
to other
St.
They're
parts
Lucia
not
of the
going to
because he
stay in
Caribbean.
bought a
Jamaica.
bunch of property in St. Lucia and he put a bunch of money in the bank in St. Lucia.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Donna, you
You
wanted to?
know, I
Oh,
I
go ahead.
listened to I listened to Putin. I'm sorry. I
Nope.
listened to Putin the other day, and Putin said that the Africa is for dead African, because Africans, just like Jamaicans, we spend our money out of the country, not investing in our country, not investing in Africa, not investing anywhere. But when we die, we want our bodies to go back there to bury. So it's for dead people. You know what I'm saying?
You
It's
are
for dead
right.
folks.
And Putin is right. That's a deep statement right there.
We need to invest, and we need to be more mindful of what's going on, and we need to be observing what's going on and take
Absolutely.
action. We're
Yeah.
Jamaicans, and we know how to fight. We've been fighting for years.
Yep.
For
And
years.
what I said in Queen in regards to that, I had said I think it was a couple of weeks back, Oh boy, that noise just let me totally lost my train of thoughts. But go ahead, caller, go ahead. And then we're gonna let Donna chime in and the respecter.
Yeah, Donna could go. I'm so emotional about this thing, that we need
Oh,
to be a little bit, we need to wake up and stay
Thank
woke,
you, caller.
and
you
and
Thank
know.
you.
Yes,
and what I was saying in regards to now, I remember. What I was saying in regards to being going back to our country and investing, there were, a lot of Jamaicans, let's I'm just going to pinpoint it in Jamaica. But a lot of Jamaicans are complaining, "Oh, Chinese are take over. Oh, Mexicans are take over. Oh, Arabs are take over," like we're doing on the air right now. But there are so many rich, I mean, multi-million ears Jamaican people that is in the diaspora that are not going back and that should have went back even years ago and invested in Jamaica, bought land. All of these artists that have gotten a whole bunch of money, how many of them was buying land? No, they were buying gold chain and they were doing all this. So we are to blame for our own demise because we
yes,
don't invest back into our country. But yet, as you say, caller, we want to go to this country. We want to go back to the country that we've never invested in to be buried in. It is for dead folks. You got it right there. Donna, go ahead.
Yes. I was saying that it's a war on humanity from beings from another planet or other planets, I should say. And that's how they divide and conquer by saying, oh, it's the Chinese, it's the this, it's the that. Yeah, they come in the form of Chinese, they come in the form of blacks, they come in the form of Jamaicans, Americans, and whosoever. It's a war on humans. We are the prey of these beings. Okay? So that is what happened. And as far as you saying them knowing about the hiding places that we have in Jamaica or wherever, the thing is that they know everything. That's why they have GPS that maps out everywhere around the world.
Mm.
So those are the things that I spoke about before. Okay, so that's what GPS is all about. So there are no more hiding places because pretty much they mapped out everything. If you want to find a place, all you have to do is go through the GPS and it'll tell you exactly how to get to wherever you want to go.
Mm. Miriam says distraction tactics.
Distraction tactics.
Yeah, I guess
Or,
it, with in regards to what we're speaking of. Elaborate, Miriam.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead, Donna.
yeah. So the thing is that, and it's an underground world. Okay, and like we were just speaking about the churches, they seek origin. So like you see how Juneteenth is now a holiday, right? Monday that just passed was Juneteenth. These are people is from, back in time, slavery days. They're amongst us right now. Okay, so that's what it's all about. People have to stop looking at these things as fictional. It is not science fiction. It is fact. I'm walking around with file folders filled with death certificates for people who are still alive. So
Mm.
what do they have to say about that? Can you dispute it? Because if I was a weak person, if I wasn't strong minded, everybody was against me. Okay? And I just let it play out.
So when
Okay? So let the truth reveal itself. What can you say now? That is my point. And who are these people? Are they people? That's the thing. They're not. There was a satellite station that's right up the block from me here on Fountain Avenue, and as soon as they called me, They got in contact with me about my stolen identification. The satellite building disappeared into thin air. Okay? So I mean, that was my normal route on a daily basis. Wow. So this is what I'm speaking about. You've been traveling in and out of from Earth to another planet. You have a space terminal at John F. Kennedy Airport. And on 9/11, where was Bush? He was in Florida. Near where? The Kennedy Space Station. All you got to do is put it together because the facts are out there. There's no way for anyone to dispute these facts. Okay? We are the prey. Human beings are the prey. This is why we became so ill. These are things from other planets that they modified into our food. Okay? So this is what it's all about. That's why we became handicapped, what they call Americans with disabilities, if you're in America. Okay? So just look at it. You have all of these accessible train stations. They have pretty much taken over with technology, because the thing is that even I mentioned about Richard Nixon. This is when I was just a little baby, when Richard Nixon was president. And he got the call from the moon, because when I say, oh, they calling me from the moon or other planets or somewhere, and the moon is following me, people might have said, oh, she's crazy or something, right? So I put it on Facebook. Okay. So now what did they say? Oh, it's a space station. I mean, you called. It was the most historic call in America when they called Richard Nixon from the moon. So you do call from the moon. So I don't even understand why people say, what? What is she talking about, or what is he talking about? What are they saying? I mean, these are facts. You call from the moon. That's the sea of tranquility, and you disturb their peace.
Donna,
just fly there.
Okay,
Huh?
Mama Acid is coming in. Come in, Mama Acid, and then the Respecta. Go ahead, and then we all can say something in the.
Donna, I want to ask you about the report that came out from NASA over the past 2 months, and the updated report about all of the UFO sightings and the recent pictures that came from the Navy planes off of not the ones off Hawaii and the ones off California and the ones here in Michigan. Can you talk a little bit about what you think about what that was?
And
did you see it?
And we're going to talk it short because it's 9:56, and we're going to have to get out the air chair in 4 minutes. All righty.
Well, as I always said, NASA had the coverage over 9/11 for a reason. I always said that it was a meteorite from another planet. Okay, so for them to say, UFOs were sighted in Michigan and California or wherever you just mentioned, these things aren't off the wall. These are actual facts.
Real quick, Donna, for the meteorite, you always you've said it before, like you've said on this program, where you felt that it was never a plane that hit the World Trade Center, and you've said it. When you just said it, I remembered you did make that statement before. You feel that it was a meteorite. Why do you feel that the plane could not have hit the building and take it down? Real quickly.
Okay, because the plane do you see the damage that a bird does to a plane if it collides with the plane? It makes a hole. There's no way that a plane remember the plane is light, that's why it's flying in the air, right? If the nose of that plane touched structural steel buildings, that plane would crumble. Just look at the damage that a bird does to a plane. Okay? So that alone, I mean, that's just common sense. Okay? So that it's not rocket science and scientists. Okay? I don't know if you ever looked at the video that I sent you, Lady D, but I sent you a video, and if you look at it, and the scientists were saying, what they claimed happened on 9/11 does not match scientific experimentation. So they looked at it from a whole nother scenario, right? And it's a stock related matter, right? Because if you look at the stocks of the two planes that they used, United Airlines and American Airlines, and the options that were purchased to do something with the stocks in of American Airlines and United Airways or Airlines or whatever it's called. It's a stock related matter. Okay, so if you look at who are the beneficiaries of these stocks, and you purchase these options to do something with that stock, so you made X amount of money off of that within a certain time period.
Okay.
That's what it was related to. It
Well,
was not. It had nothing to do with what they said. That do you think that the Middle East could hijack four American airliners in one day? We're way too sophisticated for that to happen.
okay. A comment that's
It's a
placed is people are being distracted from by Miriam. People are being distracted from things going on under their nose. Well, I've always kind of sort of wondered as to the, and then we're going to wrap it. I've always kind and give the respecter a moment to say something. I've kind of always wondered why, with all of the destruction that goes on, around the world and even here in America, why that um the World Trade Center was made like a monumentum kind of thing. Is there something underneath that we don't want to see? Because normally it's a
yeah.
cleanup. The other day there was a building or two or three that fell in Florida, and it wasn't, and a lot of persons passed away there, and it wasn't made as a monument. So, those little questions came into my mind with hearing your thoughts on the plane and the meteorite and so on. So it's things that makes you go, hmm.
Didn't they say how much gold bullion is underneath there?
I I don't know. I don't remember. But the
Uh,
respecter, go ahead, the respecter, and then we're gonna wrap it.
Yeah, what Donna is saying is, it's believable to some of us, and some of us not going to believe it.
Yeah.
Most of us will believe everything about the book, characters that we don't know possible exist in this world. But a lot of us felt the same way about the Trade Center. I actually saw it hitting the building, and the plane, like, it came to a complete stop as it touched the building. Now, that's a solid steel building, steel and concrete. A plane, a single plane wouldn't have brought that building down. And also, the Chinese are overpopulated. So what they're doing, they're dumping people in the islands in Africa, the weak countries, according to them, because black folks don't take their country and take each other seriously, care enough for each other to defend each other. China is being overpopulated, so they're dumping their people throughout the world where black people are. It's easier to say, here, a couple $1 million, and the government, a president, a prime minister say, okay, and it's simple.
All right. Well, man, this was an interesting evening, and we want to thank callers for calling in, Donna, and our other caller that had also called in with a New York number, so we want to big her up. And make sure that you share, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you missed any part of the program, you can always go back to YouTube and pull up this program, the Powerhouse Radio, and view some of our other videos. We have a lot of Reasoning Thursday videos, as well as Let's Gripe also have some wonderful reasoning that they went on even yesterday. So be sure to just like and subscribe to be notified as to when we're on, and share the links, share the links. Very interesting tonight. We spoke about dance hall artists and badness. And we spoke in regards to Dr. Umar and the Chinese and politics of Jamaica. We also spoke a little bit in regards to the money that's going on, the money situation and the corruption that's going on in Jamaica. If you would like to hear a reasoning topic, and we've also discussed aliens, touched it briefly, and we're going to go a little bit more into it possibly next week. So, if you would like a topic that you would like to hear right here on Reasoning Thursdays, be sure to send it over to dapowerhouseradio@gmail.com. That's that's D as in David, A as in Apple, Powerhouse Radio at gmail.com. All righty. And tell a friend and a friend and a friend and a family member. So you could have been listening to someone else and you've decided to listen to us, and we are ever so grateful. And to the UK Massive, Cuz Marion and the crew, we want to say thank you for listening in, because we know it's late. We know it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning, and you stayed on with us, and we most definitely appreciate that. The Victorious 89.1 FM radio, we want to say big shouts to you and thank you for continuing to support the Powerhouse Radio as well. So, Mama Acid, you want to leave out with a few words to our listeners? Mama Acid, you on mute.
Yep, I'm sorry. I was just trying to get
Turn
another.
down your background. Turn down your background.
I was just trying to get another view of what happened with the Titanic tourist submersible. And I just wanted to take a moment to say that I'm sorry for the loss of life, but I want to also say that they chose to sign the waiver, which said it was an experimental submarine. They had enough money that they could have actually put it towards helping other people in the world, but they wanted to go with their money. So they chose to go with their money. To be honest with you, that's just not my feeling. My feeling is if I had an extra $250,000, I'd make sure that some people weren't homeless and some other people actually had food. I don't think throwing that kind of money into the water is a good idea, but even more so than that, to me, what it demonstrates is an extreme version of white supremacy and classism. So I hope that we will be taking this up, the discussion of white supremacy and classism, very soon, because we're working on some pieces right now about colorism and classism, which is a fairly new phenomenon to Jamaica that has existed in Jamaica but hasn't clearly been defined. And it's time that we start bringing it out as part of the discussions that we're having every week. So we hope that you'll continue to join us and continue to enjoy the great content, and of course some of the problematic comments that I make, because we all know Mama Acid doesn't really care about other people's feelings. I only like the truth. So forgive me for hurting someone's feeling. If I hurt someone's feelings tonight, saying that if you're rich enough to want to die at the Titanic graveyard, may you get your wish. And I'm sorry if anybody's offended by that, but they got their wish. And the other thing I would like to say is that I am hoping that all the people in Congress in the United States will understand that if you vote for impeachment of Joe Biden this late in his term, what you are doing is you are literally giving the Democrats the seat next time, because you won't have a leg to stand on. And with that, I just want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in, the people at the truck stops, the people at the barbershop, the people at the airports, all the people all over the world who listen to us, and mostly to the people who took the time to tune in and call in, because y'all are the big winners. Thank you, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
All right. Miriam says, as comment, Miriam says, bless up. And Miriam also says 250K. Well, them get what the duck get. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Queen.
Well, I just want to say Thank you to the listener who I sent out that share to. I see you guys hitting me up to say you're tuning in. I thank you for that. And it's okay to participate. You can call in. Lady D gave you the number. So we're looking forward to hearing you and for you to tune in next week, Thursday, also to Reasoning Thursday. Remember, share, thumb up, and remember, we're here for you and we will bring the news and the information as we get it. We're accurate. We try to give you the truth, the facts, and that's what we're here for, to share with you guys so you know what is going on in the world. Not just Jamaica, but the world as a whole. You have a wonderful week and see you next week.
All right, the Respecta.
Say glory to God, because what the wicked are planning to China, to America, throughout this world, glory to God, because it's going to blow up in their faces. Those who are
Mhm.
called God's people are going to continue to live prosperous, better and better every day, and not to be fearful. Telling you, don't be fearful. Change is coming. Jehovah is alive. So all that's going on, let us stand firm and believe with all our might that Jehovah God is going to devour every and anyone who's plotting and planning to destroy his world and his people.
All right.
Amen.
Donna,
Mm-hmm. True.
Donna, I think that you're still on the line. Could you give a real brief adios?
Well,
I don't want
yeah.
to leave you
I
out.
mean, adios, everyone, and I'll see you next week. And wow. I mean, I have so much that I want to say, but I'll just hold it until next week.
Next
Hopefully,
week,
the phone lines will be up next week.
yeah, the phone line was definitely be up next week, and we're going to touch a lot more on the alien subject and some of your thoughts, Donna. We're going to get into that because, as far as even the Respecter said it with the meteorite and the plane, we want to go a little bit more in depth in that. So
And
definitely next
and
week.
And
Yes.
you know what? I just want to say something about really quick. There's a lot of hostages that they have on Rikers Island, okay? And they have a building on Rikers Island that they had me in. I was never incarcerated, okay? So there's a lot of hostages, and sometimes they need some of those tunes that they call bad man tunes because they are raping people's children. They are raping females, whether children or middle age or elderly. They have them on Rikers Island raping them.
Okay. Well, we'll
Okay,
get. Well, we'll.
not on, uh
Yeah, we'll get more
not on.
into. We'll get a little bit more into that next week because we are over the time. We're 12 minutes over the time. So we want to say big ups to each and every one. I want to thank you all once again for joining us. For Donna calling in, the other caller. I think Sharon calling in. No, Sharon Pennock calling in. We just want to say big ups to each and every one. Once again, share, like, subscribe, and just tell a friend and a friend and a family member because the best way to get this information that we are giving out is for you all to share it with your friends and family members of what we're doing each and every Thursday night right here. Be sure to join me, Lady D, each and every Saturdays from 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 4 p.m. for the Lady D show. With all your news, views, interviews, and the best in music each and every Saturdays and Wednesday. Check out Let's Cry with Tonya, Marcus, and McKenna. You don't want to miss it. Love you all so much. And definitely thank you all for joining us once again. Be blessed. Now check you all on out next week. Same time, same place, and same station. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Be blessed.
Peace.
Leaving out with Donna Minot on the ones and twos. He says love is the answer. and it definitely is.
Woo, woo, woo. Woo, 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 woo. Hey, hey. All around the world, people searching for love. I still can't find no peace of mind. Cause there ain't no love. Love is the answer. Love is the answer. Give someone an helping hand.